Hello and welcome. Today guys, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that I wish I knew much earlier into the game that will hopefully find you guys in time to make your open world experience way more fun. And let's get started with your gear. Alright, so let's start with the left side here, the anvil. This is used to reinforce your armor. As you can see, I'm sitting around a 47 defense right now. So once we use the anvil and apply the buff, we'll be sitting around about 71. That's quite a bit of jump in defense. So make sure you guys do this before you jump in any boss fights. And of course, on the right side here is the grindstone. This will apply the same buff but to your weapons. So as you can see, my dual swords here are sitting at about 42 and 40 damage. Once we buff them with the grindstone, we're sitting at about 47 and 45 respectively. So make sure you don't skip these free buffs as you're roaming around the world. Alright, next up is to max the trust with vendors, and yes, they are worth the time, and the easiest way to do so is with coin purses. So all those bags you've been collecting as you're slaying bandits, hold on to them, give them as gifts. Once you've gotten max trust, you'll unlock extra gear from some, but most importantly, you'll unlock extra information or supply contracts. This could be legendary animals if you're talking about the manager of horses, or if you're at Rhett here, he'll give you a supply contract. Supply contracts are very useful because as you update and upgrade your Greymane camp, you'll get the quartermaster, which will allow you to buy all of his gear in a centralized location, and this can be done for any of the vendors in any major cities, giving you one nice centralized location to buy gear from. On the topic of vendors, you can buy more than just their available stock. Here we're going to go ahead and buy this guy's apples. As you can see, we're going to buy them fully out. When we leave the menu, we can still see on his table here that there are still apples available to buy, and we'll purchase those. We can also purchase the apples from the basket, so just because his buy menu is out of stock, it does not mean that he's entirely out of stock. If you look around, you might find a few extra things to buy. So while you're buying out the local butcher for extra meat to cook, you can also sell vendors old recipes you've already read through, and it'll help save some of that inventory space you're in need of early game. And don't worry, if you see this little question mark on the recipes, then you'll know that you haven't read them. If you have read them, it'll tell you knowledge acquired 1 of 1, and you won't see that little question mark. So feel free to sell them the old books, old recipes, and even wanted posters to help save some inventory space while you're also there. And lastly, for traders and vendors, the most important thing to keep an eye out for here, keep an eye out for these small bags or medium bags as some of them may sell. These will increase your inventory space as well. Now, if you're anything like me, video games have built a weird OCD desire to keep everything perfectly organized in your inventory. I'm looking at you, Tarkov in Minecraft. But this game is no different, and you can use the group feature to group items of a similar nature together to help make the inventory look a little nicer. We're going to do that with our coin pouches right here. As you can see, it puts them all together, makes them very easy and nice to find under our money tab. So feel free to do that to make your inventory look just that little bit nicer. Pets. Many of us have them and we love them like family, and this game is no different. Cats, dogs, and even a few legendary animals can be tamed as pets, and in this game they actually serve a very useful purpose. They can loot items for you that are left on the ground. That includes the loot left off of your fallen enemies after combat. So take some time, build up some trust in an animal of your choosing around the city or around the world as you find them by petting them, I believe, up to 4 to 5 times a day, and you can even feed them for some extra points, and you can rest in the bed for 12 hours and repeat this process to speed it up if you would like to do it very quickly. But at the end of the day, they're very useful, so spend a little time looking for at least one to help you pick up those items so you don't have to sit there and press the pickup button and pick up every little item. Next up is fast travel points. These will make your life so much easier to get around the map later, and Hernan gives you your first one. To capture them, all you have to do is stand right in the center and wait until it turns blue and hums at you. Once you've got it, you'll see it on your map. Finding them is pretty easy. The map will even help you identify one if you've passed nearby it with these giant question marks, and generally they're right in the center of those, if it's not an abyss puzzle. But you can also actively search for them. If you stand at a high point and use your sword to shine the light, you'll see these blue circles. These will lead you to points of interest, usually either a fast travel point, an abyss artifact, or even sometimes a puzzle to solve. So take some time, go to some high points, flash your sword, and look for these giant blue circles if you're also trying to look for some fast travel points as you're traveling. Next up is the bell. And no, not Taco Bell, but the city bells. These are important. Each major city seems to have one, so make sure you look for it and use them. Once you use it, you'll trigger a cutscene, which I won't add for spoilers, but the result is that your map will expand and remove the fog of war. This is great to find nearby points of interest to the city, so make sure you run around and try to find the bell in your local city if you're visiting somewhere new. The next one is a bit more niche, but still important for newer players. Many of us find ourselves stealing early game looking for supplies or recipes inside of locked houses. Keys can be a little hard to come by early, so instead of accidentally using one on a random locked door, use the focus feature to look at a door and see if it actually needs a key. If it does and you're missing a key or don't want to use one, look for a window to open so that you can get in for free. Windows are always unlocked, and you can get in through the window to unlock these locked doors from the inside without having to use a key. Now at this point I think we've all heard that the sword can be used to cook food by using the reflect light portion, but there are a few extra applications that I haven't heard talked about too much besides just burning vides and cooking food one piece at a time. If you aren't near a cooking pot, or if you find something large and flammable, you can actually use the sword to set the structure on fire, and if you place all of your meats, raw meats, on top of it while it's on fire, it will cook everything at once. Now, I still recommend fast traveling cooking a meal at a cooking pot as it will heal you for more, but if you're in a pinch or you're feeling lazy, this is also a fun way to cook a bunch of food at once. Now for some combat tips. I'm sure you've already seen 1,000 different videos on the best weapon for Crimson Desert, as people are finding new things all the time. But I highly recommend early game trying out dual wielding, as the extra DPS helps clear early mobs a lot faster. And to do so, all you have to do is go to the radio wheel, swap the shield to a new sword that you have in your inventory, and then go from there. Once you pull it out, you'll have both swords out, and the AoE sweeping motions of dual wielding seems to clear mobs way faster. Give it a shot. Now, when you start clearing forts, or if you run into those pesky archer towers in general, these damn things can be a real pain to take care of. Instead of trying to shoot them down, or climbing up the ladder, or even using a flaming arrow to light the tower on fire, which is very satisfying, you can also just run up to the tower and use the turning slash ability to knock it down in one hit. This makes it super easy to knock them down and kill the archers at the top of them without having to do all the extra work. Waterfalls. As per usual video game logic, waterfalls hold beautiful secrets behind them, and that is true even for Crimson Desert. But to get into a waterfall in Crimson Desert, you have to use the stab attack to dash through the water. So yes, stab the water. You can find a safe spot to enter, usually marked by these little statues, so that way you know where you should enter it instead of just trying to bang your head against the waterfall, taking damage and dying. But once you're through, you can find your way to your treasure on the other side, no problem. Horse taming, one of the weirdly difficult but easily trivialized mechanics of the game. This tip works for regular horses that you might capture, but also for any legendary horses you might be after. Once you've found your horse, you can jump on it. Once it begins trying to buck you off, move your camera to look straight down. Then hold the back directional key to go backwards and keep the camera in line with the horse. This makes keeping yourself aligned with the horse part and not getting bucked off side by side super easy. Alright. And this last tip is for all of my chill homies like my buddy Ryan, who love fishing regardless of the game. Now, it's not explained very well, so I'm going to try and explain it in an easy to digest visual format. When you cast your line, you'll have to wait until a fish bites and you get the hook prompt. Once hooked, you only need to use WASD or your movement stick to pull in the opposite direction the fish is trying to go. Do not try to reel the fish in at all during this time. As you fight it, you'll see the fish stop splashing in the water. When it stops splashing, that's when you can try to reel it in. But be careful, if it starts splashing again, you'll have to wait until it stops before reeling it in the rest of the way. Hopefully that helps you guys catch a few fish. Alright, and that's going to wrap this video up, guys. I'm about 80 hours into Crimson Desert, and I'm learning new things all of the time. So please, if you have any other tips or things you think need more visibility, leave them in the comments below. And if we gather enough, we might just make another tips and trick video, maybe including something more like advanced tips, like how to win more gambling, or how to use the trade wagon at the Greymane camp, or even where to find the lightning spear. But if you guys enjoyed this, give this video a thumbs up, or if you hated it, give it a thumb down. Either way, exercise your right to vote, and I hope to see you guys again.